I'm pleased to be here with my fellow panel members and share a bit about the experience of the Richmond business community with early childhood involvement. Our participation began in a rather curious way. Back in 1995, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation had contacted 27 communities that were experiencing significant issues with the health and safety of young people, encouraging them to apply for a 2-year pilot grant that would enable them to take a hard look at their issues, what was being done, and more importantly, what could be done differently to address that issue. The then city manager of the city of Richmond and the CEO of United Way Services actually approached the Greater Richmond Chamber and said, we would like the business community to apply for that 2-year planning grant. We said, we don't have any standing or expertise in that area. Why would we want to do that? Their answer was that if we don't get the business community involved, all we're going to do is recycle old ideas and programs that aren't going to provide any significant benefit to our region. So we stepped up to that challenge. We applied for that grant. We were one of 8 communities that was awarded a 2-year pilot. And at the end of that time, Robert Wood Johnson said that based on what the communities had come up with, they would fund 5 of those initiatives for an additional 8 years. We were one of those 5 communities selected for long-term funding with the stipulation that the effort had to continue to be led by the Chamber and the business community. We faced a number of challenges in the early years of that issue. We began with a blank sheet of paper, but we also lacked any good data with which to analyze the issues and make intelligent decisions. 60% of the 3rd grade students in the Richmond public school system were not reading at grade level back then. The business community was frustrated with the amount of money they were investing in organizations and programs and the lack of results. The funding of delivery services was something that everyone understood, but the funding of systems change work was new, and it was something that was pretty difficult to explain. I will tell you that we used the majority of our money in the early years to actually hire college students, education majors, and use them as tutors working in early elementary school classrooms in the city of Richmond and 2 adjoining counties. One of the biggest challenges that we faced was getting the business community in the room and them wanting to cut to the chase and say, what's the problem? What are the potential solutions? Which one is the best? Let's go do something about it. And the service providers who would come to meetings and want to talk about the issues for hours and then schedule another meeting to talk about it even further. That tested everyone's patience, and I think we have finally evolved to the point today where our business community understands that we do need some time to process the issues, and I think that our service providers also understand that we quickly have to move to a strategic plan and metrics that we can be held accountable for. Well, our program transitioned in the late 90s when the Commonwealth of Virginia adopted something called the Standards of Learning, SOLs, where they were really coming in, doing the testing on an annual basis to see what progress was being made in the classroom. As we talked to education leaders and teachers about, well, gee, what should we be doing now? They all said, turn your focus to the 0 to 5-year-olds and help us get kids to kindergarten better prepared to learn. And they were telling us that 25% of our young people were showing up unprepared for that experience. One of the things that we did in the fall of 2000, we do a visioning initiative at the beginning of each decade, and we try to come up with a list of things that our region should be working on that will help take us to the next level during that 10-year period. In the fall of 2000, we adopted as one of our top 10 goals for this decade the goal of eliminating youth illiteracy in our region. The benchmark goal being that every 3rd grade student will be reading at grade level, 3rd grade, by the year 2010. Well, what have we done? I'm just going to hit a few of the things that we've evolved along our journey. We have created an early childhood leadership council that includes decision makers from different sectors of the community, law enforcement, education, government, human services, and the business community so that we can develop a strategic vision and direction for our early childhood activities across the region. We convened our own business forum that we call the ABCs and the ROI, and it's a business-to-business focus on the issue the logic for corporate involvement, and a call to invest. Our chamber organizes the work of what we call the Capital Region Caucus. It's the 25 senators and delegates that represent us in the Virginia General Assembly. And for the past several years, we have had an early childhood agenda as part of our annual legislative package. And we have worked with other business organizations, local governments on that effort. We're especially pleased that Virginia Governor Tim Kaine has made early childhood education a major part of his strategy for his 4-year term, and I'm pleased that Virginia's Secretary of Education, Tom Morris, is actually in the audience here this morning. It has made a big difference to be able to get business and government on the same page around that issue. Another huge challenge that we faced was communication. I don't know how many of you have been working on the elevator speech to explain what early childhood education is. We've been working on it for about 12 years, and I still don't think we have it right, but we're going to get it right one of these days. We have developed an economic vitality piece where we are sharing facts and information peer to peer, because we learned early on that tugging at the heartstrings was not going to get us very far with this issue. We have developed a Connect the Dots agenda that is a theme to simplify the message with our business and legislative audience, and we actually have copies of our 2007 legislative agenda that will be available in the lobby for anyone that would like to pick up a copy of it. We developed a book bank program early on, a network to get businesses involved and their employees in providing books for children. Thus far, we have collected and distributed in excess of 145,000 books. It's a collaborative effort with our library system, service providers, courier companies who would go to the businesses and pick the books up, and our chamber members. We also piloted a best practice reach out and read program, and then recently turned that over to the Pediatric Foundation. That program involves helping parents and caregivers to be their child's first teacher, and the program is now expanded beyond the Richmond region with over 100 clinics across the state and in excess of 100,000 families being served, and today we have 15 of those clinics actively working in the Richmond area. You heard me say early on that we started with a lack of good data with which to make decisions. Well, in partnership with Virginia Commonwealth University, we have now developed a data share website that has been launched, and it will help us provide a tool for information and to share results with our community and with decision makers. Fast forwarding to the present, our grant money actually ran out the end of 2005. Robert Wood Johnson gave us a parting gift grant to help us transition in 2006, and so we had to decide, what do we do now? Do we declare victory and go home and say it's up to someone else to take this on, or do we have additional work that needs to be done? Our business leadership said, we're not finished yet, let's keep working on this, and let's try to collaborate with others, and that's exactly what we've done. A few years ago, our United Way started a Success by Six program. And in July of last year, the Chamber's Youth Matters and the United Way's Success by Six programs were merged. We now have a common agenda for early childhood supported by the region's lead business and lead social services organization, and it's sounding a strong voice to business, to the public sector, and service providers that this is an important issue that we need to remain focused on. We now have a business-led advisory council that is working on performance metrics and also a communications collaborative to take this issue even deeper into our region. And we recently applied for one of the state's Early Childhood Foundation grants for a pilot program. I'll conclude with just two key learnings from our experience. And again, we've been at this for about 12 years now. First, one of the biggest lessons we learned was that we had to stop thinking and acting like this was only a social issue. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a business issue, it is a workforce issue, and it is a quality of life issue that affects the very economic vitality of our region, and I suggest yours as well.